My name is Hamid. I am 27 years old. I was born in Casablanca, Morocco. From the outside, my life looked perfect. My father was a respected man in our community. Our family attended the biggest mosque in the city. Everyone knew us. Everyone respected us. But inside our house, things were different. Every morning at 4 a.m., my father would wake me up. Hamid, get up. Time for prayers. His voice was firm. There was no choice. There was never a choice. I was only 6 years old when I started memorizing the Quran. Other children played soccer in the streets. I sat in a small room, repeating verses for hours. My father watched me carefully. Louder, Hamid. Allah must hear you. By the time I was 12, I could recite half of the Quran by memory. My father smiled when people praised me. This boy will be a great Imam someday, they said. He would put his hand on my shoulder. I felt the weight of his expectations. But late at night, when everyone was asleep, I felt empty. I looked at the ceiling of my room. I whispered prayers, but they felt like words floating in the air. Nothing came back. No peace. No presence. Just silence. If Allah is so merciful, I thought, why do I feel so alone? I never dared to say this out loud. In our house, questions were not welcome. Doubt was sin. Faith was obedience. At 15, my father enrolled me in an Islamic school. You will study to become an imam, he said. This is your destiny. The other students seemed so sure about everything. They quoted verses with confidence. They spoke about Allah like they knew him personally, but I felt like I was wearing a mask. Everyone saw a pious young man. Inside, I was drowning in questions I could not ask. The golden cage was beautiful from the outside, but inside, I could barely breathe. The Islamic school was stricter than anything I had experienced before. We woke up at 3:30 a.m. every day. Prayer, study, prayer, study. This was our routine. No television, no music, no contact with the outside world. The teachers watched us constantly. Your minds must be pure, they told us. The world is full of corruption. Here, you are safe. But I did not feel safe. I felt trapped. Every week, we had to memorize new chapters of the Quran. If we made mistakes during recitation, we were punished. Sometimes they made us kneel for hours. Sometimes we were not allowed to eat. This is for your own good, the Imam would say. Allah rewards those who suffer for him. The other students accepted everything without question. They seemed happy. They smiled during prayers. They nodded when the teachers spoke about paradise and hell. I tried to be like them. I smiled when I was supposed to smile. I nodded when I was supposed to nod. But inside, something was breaking. One day, during a lesson about jihad, I raised my hand. Teacher, I said, if Allah is love, why does he want us to fight? The room went silent. Every student turned to look at me. The teacher's face became dark. Hamid, he said slowly, you are asking dangerous questions, questions that come from Satan. That night, they called my father. I heard him shouting on the phone. What kind of son have I raised? He said. You are embarrassing our family. When he hung up, he looked at me with disappointment. Hamid, you must stop this. No more questions, no more doubts. Just obey. I nodded, but the questions were still there. During prayer times, I watched the other students. Their faces looked peaceful. Their lips moved with certainty. I envied them. My lips moved too, but my heart was screaming. Where are you, God? Why can't I feel you? Why does everything feel so empty? The days became longer. The prayers became heavier. I was surrounded by people who claimed to know God, but I felt more alone than ever. At night, I stared at the small window in our dormitory. Beyond the walls, there was a world I could not explore. Beyond these prayers, there had to be something more. But how could I find it? How could I escape this invisible prison without destroying everything my family believed in? I was 19 years old. I was supposed to be preparing to lead others to God. Instead, I was losing myself. 2 years passed at the Islamic school. I learned to hide my questions better. I smiled at the right moments. I said Allahu Akbar with the others, but inside something was dying. Every morning we studied the Quran. The teachers explained every verse. They told us what it meant. They told us how to think, they told us what to feel, but I felt nothing. During prayer time, I watched the other students. They closed their eyes. They raised their hands. Some of them cried. They seemed to experience something real. I copied their movements. I raised my hands too. I closed my eyes too. But behind my closed eyes, there was only darkness. Allah, I whispered during one prayer. If you are there, please show me. I want to feel you. I want to know you are real. Nothing happened. The silence was getting heavier. It followed me everywhere. In the classroom, during meals, even when I was with other people. I felt like I was watching my life from the outside. One evening, after dinner, I walked to the school library. I was looking for books about Islamic theology. Maybe if I studied harder, maybe if I understood more, the emptiness would go away. In the back corner of the library, behind the Arabic books, I found something strange, a small book with a black cover. The title was in Arabic, but I could see it was different from our usual texts. I opened it carefully. My heart started beating faster. It was a Bible, a Christian Bible, translated into Arabic. I looked around quickly. No one was watching. I should have put it back immediately. I should have reported it to the teachers. Instead, I took it to my room. That night, I hid under my blanket with a small flashlight. I opened the book randomly. My eyes fell on a verse in the book of John. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Something stirred inside me. It was small, but it was real. For the first time in years, I felt curious. Not afraid curious. Hungry curious. I closed the book quickly. What was I doing? This was forbidden. This was dangerous. But I could not stop thinking about those words. I am the light of the world. For 21 years I had been walking in darkness. I knew what darkness felt like. But light, what would light feel like? The next few days were torture. During prayers I tried to focus on the familiar words, but my mind kept going back to that verse. During classes, I nodded and took notes. But my heart was somewhere else. I started having dreams. In my dreams, I was still in that same dark place, but now there was a small light in the distance. Every night, the light seemed a little brighter. Every night, it seemed a little closer. I woke up feeling different. Not happy exactly, but not completely empty either. There was something stirring inside me, something I had never felt before. It felt like hunger, but not for food. Hunger for truth. Hunger for something real. I had spent my whole life trying to satisfy this hunger with rules and rituals and memorized prayers. But maybe what I was hungry for was something else entirely. I kept the Bible hidden under my mattress for 3 weeks. Every night, I told myself I would throw it away. Every night, I found myself reading it instead. The words were different from anything I had ever read. In the Quran, Allah seemed distant, powerful, but far away. In this book, God seemed close, personal. I read about Jesus speaking to ordinary people, fishermen, tax collectors, sinners. He did not shout at them. He did not punish them first and love them later. He just loved them. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. I was weary. I was so very tired. But could I really come to him? Was that even possible? One night, I was reading about Jesus healing a blind man. The story was simple. The man could not see. Jesus touched him. The man could see. As I read, something strange happened. I felt like that blind man. I had been blind my whole life, but I had never realized it. I closed the Bible and whispered, Jesus, if you are real, if you can really give sight to the blind, please, help me see. I waited. The room was silent. I felt foolish. But then, slowly, something warm touched my heart. It was gentle, like a soft hand on my shoulder. For just a moment, the emptiness lifted. I opened my eyes. Nothing in the room had changed, but something inside me had changed. The next morning, I woke up feeling lighter. During prayer time, I went through the motions as usual, but my mind was somewhere else. I was thinking about that warm feeling from the night before. During lunch, one of my classmates, Omar, sat next to me. "Hamid," he said quietly, "you seem different lately. More peaceful." What happened? I nearly choked on my food. Could he see the change? Was it that obvious? "Nothing happened," I said quickly. "I am the same." But Omar smiled. "No, brother, you are not the same. Your eyes look different, like you have found something you were looking for." That afternoon, during theology class, our teacher was explaining a verse about Allah's judgment. He spoke about hell with such detail. His words were full of anger and fear. I listened, but all I could think about were Jesus' words, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened." One was about fear. The other was about rest. One pushed me away. The other invited me closer. That evening, I went to the bathroom and locked the door. I looked at myself in the small mirror. Omar was right. My eyes did look different. For 21 years, my eyes had been empty. Now, there was something there. A spark. A tiny light. I whispered, "Jesus." "I do not understand what is happening to me, but I think you are real. I think you have been trying to reach me." I paused, listening. The warm feeling came back, stronger this time. "I am scared," I continued. "If my family finds out, if the teachers find out, I do not know what will happen. But I cannot pretend anymore. I cannot keep living in darkness." Tears started falling. I had not cried in years, but these were not tears of sadness. They were tears of relief. For the first time in my life, I felt like someone was listening, really listening. I felt like I was not alone anymore. When I returned to my room, I took the Bible from under my mattress. I did not hide it this time. I held it in my hands and looked at it properly. This small book was changing everything. This Jesus was changing everything. I was terrified, but I was also more alive than I had ever been. The light was getting brighter. For 2 months, I managed to keep my secret. I read the Bible every night. I prayed to Jesus in whispers. During the day, I continued my Islamic studies. I was living 2 lives, but secrets have a way of revealing themselves. It started with small things. During Quran recitation, I would pause at verses about Jesus. The Quran calls him Isa and says he is just a prophet. But now, every time I heard his name, my heart would skip a beat. One morning, during dawn prayer, something happened that I will never forget. We were all lined up facing Mecca, following the Imam's lead. But as I bowed down, I found myself praying to Jesus instead of Allah. "Jesus," I whispered silently. "I know I'm supposed to be praying to Allah right now, but I cannot stop thinking about you. Are you really the Son of God?" When I lifted my head, I saw Ahmed, the student next to me, staring at me. His eyes were suspicious. After prayer, he followed me to the dining hall. "Hamid," he said, sitting across from me, "who were you talking to during prayer?" My blood went cold. I was not talking to anyone. I was praying like everyone else. "No," Ahmed said firmly. "I saw your lips moving differently. You were saying different words." I tried to laugh it off. "You are imagining things, brother." But Ahmed did not smile. "I have been watching you, Hamid. You are changing. The way you look at the teachers when they speak about Christians, the way you ask strange questions, what is happening to you?" That night, I could not sleep. Ahmed knew something. How long before he told someone? 3 days later, my worst fears came true. I was in the library, pretending to study Islamic history, when Brother Hassan, one of the strictest teachers, appeared beside me. "Hamid," he said quietly, "come with me." My heart pounded as I followed him to his office. He closed the door and sat behind his desk. His eyes were cold. "Ahmed came to me yesterday," he began. "He is concerned about you. He says you have been acting strangely, asking inappropriate questions, behaving differently during prayers." I tried to stay calm. "Ahmed is mistaken, sir. I am committed to my studies. I pray 5 times a day. I memorize the Quran faithfully." Brother Hassan nodded slowly. "Yes, you do all these things, but Ahmed also told me something else. He says he saw you with a book that does not belong to our curriculum." My mouth went dry. "So I searched your room this morning," he continued. He opened his desk drawer and pulled out my Bible. The world stopped. Can you explain this, Hamid? I stared at the book in his hands. My secret was over. Everything was over. I found it in the library, I stammered. I was curious about what Christians believe. I wanted to understand their errors so I could refute them better. Brother Hassan stood up. His voice became loud. Refute them? You have been corrupted by them. Do you think I am stupid? Do you think I cannot see what has happened to you? He walked around the desk and stood in front of me. You have been seduced by the lies of the infidels. You have betrayed Allah. You have betrayed your family. You have betrayed everything we have taught you. Tears started falling from my eyes, not because I was sorry for reading the Bible, but because I knew what came next. I am calling your father, Brother Hassan said. You are no longer welcome at this school. You are no longer fit to be an imam. He picked up the phone. As I sat there, listening to him speak to my father, I felt my whole world crumbling around me. But in the middle of the chaos, in the middle of my fear, I heard a gentle voice in my heart. Do not be afraid. I am with you. It was Jesus. For the first time since this nightmare began, I felt peace. They could take away my school. They could take away my future. They could take away everything I had ever known, but they could not take away the light that had started growing in my heart. My father arrived at the school the next morning. I had never seen him so angry. His face was red, his hands were shaking. When he saw me sitting in Brother Hassan's office, he did not speak for a long time. He just stared at me like I was a stranger. How could you do this to our family? He finally said. His voice was quiet but full of pain. How could you bring such shame on us? Brother Hassan placed the Bible on the desk between us. Your son has been reading this poison. He has been corrupted by Christian lies. My father looked at the Bible like it was a snake. 21 years, he said. 21 years I invested in you. I dreamed of seeing you lead prayers in our mosque. I told everyone in our neighborhood that my son would be a great imam. He stood up and walked to the window. Now what will I tell them? That my son has become an infidel. I wanted to explain. I wanted to tell him about the peace I had found. I wanted to tell him about the love I had experienced, but I knew he would not understand. Pack your things, he said without turning around. You are coming home, and you will never speak of this foolishness again. The drive back to Casablanca was silent. My father did not look at me once. When we arrived home, my mother was waiting at the door. Her eyes were red from crying. Hamid, she whispered, what have you done? They locked me in my room. For 3 days, they brought me food but did not speak to me. I could hear them talking downstairs. My father's voice was angry. My mother's voice was sad. On the 4th night, my father came to my room. Tomorrow, he said, you will go to the Imam of our mosque. You will confess your sin. You will ask for forgiveness. You will promise never to think about these Christian lies again. He paused at the door. If you refuse, you are no longer my son. After he left, I sat on my bed and stared at the wall. Everything I had ever known was falling apart. My family, my future, my identity. But in the silence of that room, I heard Jesus speaking to my heart again. Hamid, you must choose. You can go back to the life you had before, or you can follow me, but you cannot do both. I knelt down beside my bed. For the first time in my life, I prayed with complete honesty. Child Jesus, I whispered, I do not fully understand who you are, but I know you are real. I know you love me. I know you have been calling me. Tears fell on my hands. I am afraid of what will happen if I choose you. I might lose my family. I might lose everything. But I cannot go back to the darkness. I cannot pretend anymore. I took a deep breath. Jesus, I give you my life, all of it, even if it costs me everything. I want to follow you. I want you to be my Lord and Savior. The moment I said those words, something amazing happened. The room filled with peace. Not just quiet peace, but powerful peace. Like a warm light wrapping around me, I felt clean, I felt new, I felt free. For 21 years, I had been trying to reach God through rules and rituals. But that night, God reached down to me. I was no longer just Hamid, the Imam's son. I was Hamid, the beloved child of the living God. Outside my room, my old life was ending, but inside my heart, a new life was beginning. I belonged to Jesus now, and nothing would ever be the same. That was 6 years ago. Today, I am 27 years old, and I live in a small apartment in another city, far from Casablanca. The next morning after I surrendered my life to Jesus, I faced my father's ultimatum. The Imam was waiting at our mosque. My father expected me to confess my sin and return to Islam. Instead, I told them the truth. I cannot deny what I have found, I said. Jesus is real. He has changed my heart. I cannot go back to the way things were. My father's face went pale. Then you are no longer my son. Those were the last words he spoke to me. I left home that day with only a small bag of clothes. I had no money, no plan, no place to go, but I had Jesus, and somehow that was enough. For the first few months, I lived with a small Christian community that took me in. They were former Muslims too. They understood my pain. They helped me heal. I learned that I was not alone. There are many of us in Morocco who have found Jesus. We meet in secret. We pray for each other. We pray for our families who do not understand. I found work in a small shop, selling vegetables in the market. It is simple work, but honest work. Every morning, I wake up and thank Jesus for the new day. Every evening, I read my Bible openly without fear. My mother calls me sometimes. When my father is not home, she cries and begs me to come back. Just pretend, she says. Just say the words they want to hear. We miss you so much. But I cannot pretend anymore. I cannot put the mask back on. Instead, I tell her, Mama, I love you. I pray for you every day. And I pray that one day you will understand why I made this choice. Sometimes she hangs up. Sometimes she listens. I keep hoping. I have learned to forgive my father for rejecting me. I have learned to forgive the teachers who expelled me. I have learned to forgive myself for all the years I lived in darkness. Jesus taught me that forgiveness is not about forgetting the pain. Forgiveness is about choosing love instead of bitterness. Last month, I met a young man named Youssef. He reminded me of myself 6 years ago. He had questions about God that no one would answer. He felt empty inside despite all his religious practices. I gave him a Bible. I told him my story. I watched his eyes light up the same way mine did when I first heard about Jesus. This is my life now. Working with my hands during the day, sharing Jesus with seeking hearts whenever I can, living in the truth instead of hiding behind lies. I am not an imam like my father wanted, but I am something better. I am a child of God. If you are reading this and you feel the same emptiness I felt, do not ignore it. That emptiness is God calling you. He is not angry with you. He is not waiting to punish you. He is waiting to love you. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. These are not just beautiful words. They are reality. 6 years ago, I was lost in darkness, pretending to know God while feeling completely alone. Today, I know God personally. I talk to Him every day. I feel His presence every moment. This is what it means to be truly alive. This is what it means to